We live in color, emotional beings. From moment to moment, it can change.
So, Dr. Markey, how would you describe what exactly is glystophilia?
It's actually an emerging scientific field. And sometimes these scientific fields and theories originate from unusual sources. So, in the case of glystophilia, um, I'll backtrack slightly. It started last year because of Christmas movies. And that's sounds kind of odd, but that's um, noticing in Christmas movies how we always have decorations and Christmas lights and things that sparkle and twinkle. And in one of the movies, there was a character whose field of study, her degree plan, had to do with um, holidays and particularly Christmas, and how the uh, yeah, try and get this word out this morning. Anthropom
Anthropomorphic?
Yes, and cultural aspects
Sure.
always play into this. So taking that idea, but focusing more on the glittery aspect of it and the sparkly aspect of it, I developed the theory of glystophilia, which takes a look at phenomenon and
Hmm.
items that either glitter or twinkle, and you can choose so many different words that are synonymous with that. But they can be naturally occurring, which could be water, for example, or stars, or they could be man made. Let's say fireworks, for example.
Hmm.
So there is that distinction, but they all have similar characteristics, but they impact humans as well as non-humans, which is another interesting feature that came up, particularly, let's say, with water, because water is a source of life for us as humans as well as non-humans.
Sure.
So
Yes,
I'm hoping this kind of makes sense.
it does. And you talked about the simplicity in, somewhat, you know, the origin of where, this study, within yourself came from. You were watching Christmas movies and um one of the characters and the things that were going on in the movie. But I think a lot of scientific study and interest, is birthed out of everyday simplistic things.
Mhm.
For instance, Dr. Martin Seligman, um he is the he created the perma model, the grounded theory, and people call it, I think initially it started off as a more of pop psychology.
Mhm.
But then um, Dr. Seligman is a very decorated psychologist, and
Mhm.
he studied this, and then others began to study it, and and I believe in the theory. The model began because of something that I think he said his daughter was 6 at the time, and he was basically having a gruff moment of complaining, and she said something very simple, like, and it triggered him to think about gratefulness, and how what she said triggered him to feel grateful, and how that made him feel.
Mhm.
And so then that literally was the beginning of the perma model. So it's so interesting how glystophilia came out of Christmas movies, you
Mhm.
know? And if you think, well, I can't say that because I was about to be presumptuous and say, if you think Christmas, um, you get happy thoughts. But as you and I have seen, that is not necessarily true. When we questioned, a few people, we just posed a question on Facebook about how the holidays make you feel. To my surprise, it was mostly sad
Yeah.
and down and depressed and heavy. Um, I think, superimposed my feelings onto everyone else, like, oh, Christmas is yay. And even though I have lost loved ones, I still, Christmas, just that time of year just does something for me.
Mhm.
But we all have different emotions and when it comes to the holiday season. And I just thought that was fascinating. Number one, how many people are actually down during the holidays? And
Yeah.
number two, how we can, kind of superimpose how we feel and make assumptions and assertions that, oh, everybody must feel this way during this time of year. But for a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's very difficult. So, how can glystophilia help people that may be struggling during this time of year?
Well, glystophilia actually is not just relevant to the holiday season and Christmas.
Hmm.
And we also started to notice that as well. And we looked at how it can actually um, raise more positive emotions in our daily lives by doing really, really simple things. And
Hmm.
that can be, well, when we're talking about performance, for example,
Hmm.
and how um, it's funny how you start to notice these things pretty much all over the place. And you were doing it unconsciously initially, and then you realize that it's a lot of us do exactly the same thing. And it does enhance our performance, whether that could be artistic, say on stage,
Hmm.
and that can be through costuming. It can be through set design. It can be through an accessory. One thing I noticed is sometimes someone will wear something that has something very, very meaningful for them, whether it's, a small piece of jewelry during
Hmm.
their performance, and it's something that helps um, raise their mood
Hmm.
and
Definitely.
also raises, oddly enough, their confidence level. All these things fit together. So it's not just looking at glystophilia from an evolutionary standpoint,
Hmm.
looking at we all need access to water, and that
Sure.
glistening of water draws us to it. And the
Hmm.
same thing with our curiosity for space and the stars twinkling in the sky
Hmm.
also draw our attention. It's
Hmm.
almost as if um, the theories, if you will, biophilia, astrophilia, and now glystophilia, have sort of formed a trilogy among all
Hmm.
three, and how
Hmm.
they actually support one another.
We live in color, emotional beings. From moment to moment, it can change.